go to the center. So I'm in a way already starting to prepare you for your session tomorrow. We're going to use community building as a model to start with. Although it's a very kind of like shortcut punya version, because we're not together for 3 days to do only community building. You're only gonna get one day. Go to the center of the circle. You'll see spirit, emptying, values, and principles. The spirit is, I mean, how do you describe spirit, right? Yeah, just remember the diagram just now with the tajau in the middle, and we say, what is this? It's the passion, it's the source, it's so many things that one can say is spirit. If you talk about religion, it's something else. Is it God? Is it, all these things, the great spirit, the great being, or just a spirit of a community. Yeah. And emptying, we'll talk a little bit more. This is a really, really important concept in this methodology. Emptying is almost the most important concept. We'll talk more about it later. And then if you see at 12 o'clock, there's self-awareness, and at 6 o'clock, there's co-facilitation. So I would say one of the key things in facilitation is self-awareness. Like, bar none, that was the most important thing. Meaning you're aware of yourself, you know yourself, you know your habits, your trigger points, your hot buttons, all those things. You know when you're being passive aggressive, when your energy is murky, all these things, you know. And you can call yourself out. And you can regulate and correct yourself. You see what I mean? So self-awareness is it's a journey. But it's an extremely important journey in facilitation. You cannot facilitate a group and be completely blur. If you're not aware of yourself, then you can't be aware of the group. You see what I mean? It's just like having the awareness of self. If you extend it, you're tuning into the group. We'll learn more about that. So as you go around the spokes of this wheel, you have all the kind of various parts of your journey or your challenge or whatever. Forms of oppression, you will always have difficult issues, investment versus intimacy, control, fear, move to speak, listening, bracketing. We'll learn all this later over time. What is safe space? Carms and Victor both spoke about safe space. Masks. What are the masks you're wearing? You come into a circle, you have a mask. I don't mean a literal mask, but I mean a metaphoric mask. And then you move out. All these bubbles at the top are the stages of community. There are 4 stages, which we'll talk about in a minute. But as you go through all these things, you're always going in and out of these 4 stages. Every group goes in and out of these 4 stages. Okay, don't be too hung up on this diagram. You will understand it better at the end of the program. Let's look at the second document, Stages of Community Building. So in this methodology, they say there are 4 stages. Pseudo-community. You don't have to read because you can read it later. What is pseudo-community? It's like, imagine when you arrive at a cocktail party. Everybody's like got a beer, got a wine, got something, and you're like, hey dude, long time no see, how's it going? Oh yeah, life's great, my company's going great, making lots of money, everything's good, I just got a car, blah blah blah. That's like cocktail talk. You can also call it small talk. that is pseudo community. It's like you pretending to be friendly, but it's just actually BS. It's not even true a lot of the time. And 100% this is, everybody is in pseudo community when you start a process. Maybe you don't stay there very long. Maybe you stay there a long time. And you're just like, hi, everything's great, have a nice day, I have no problems. So think about like I said, cocktail party is one example. I'm sure you can all think of examples. So in CBT, they say you bring a group, everyone will start, it's going to be in pseudo community, and everyone will start, hi, I'm so happy to be here. So great, so wonderful to see that there's such diversity in the group and there's such a gender balance here. My goodness, I'm so happy. It always starts like that, and you're all trying to connect, but it's not really a real connection. The second stage is called chaos. It's very, very natural phase. Every group after pseudo community will go to chaos. You just leave them there long enough in a space together, they will go to chaos. Guarantee. You'll be like, after the hi, everything's great, yeah, wonderful, my marriage is great, I have no problems, everything's golden, my kids are fantastic. You do that long enough for a few hours, put everybody in a room, then people will get irritated with each other. You'll be like annoyed, I think you need to lose weight. I know a perfect diet for you. You just have to do keto diet and everything will be solved. And everybody's trying to like save each other and convert each other to their belief. And then you actually see, holy shit, everybody is so different from me. It really annoys the hell out of me. I want them all to be like me. And then all these weird behaviors. So they call that chaos. And although it's very uncomfortable, it's a natural phenomenon. All groups will go to chaos. And actually if you leave it there long enough, there's a lot of energy in chaos. And a facilitator that likes chaos and is good in chaos can get people to be creative in chaos. And some facilitators or just humans hate chaos. You don't do well in chaos, you run away from chaos. You immediately say, okay guys, you are all stupid. I am clearly the smartest here. I'm gonna tell you guys what to do. You over here, you clean the room. You guys over here, you cook. You guys over here, you go take care of the baby. And I'm gonna sit here and, ask me if you have any questions. That's a lot of groups, if they cannot bear the chaos, they will try to organize. And someone will, usually the most charismatic, the most convincing, influential person will take charge. And then you have what we saw the other day pula. That pyramid, that's what would happen. An entire civilization could be built based on that model, right? Or community building technology, like I said, it believes in this one thing called emptiness. It's a third stage. Apa ni arti emptiness? It sounds kind of weird, like why is emptiness good? So what it means actually, if you leave a group in chaos long enough, but provide guidelines, really, they'll say, facilitators, sort this out. This is chaotic. This is terrible. I didn't pay all my money to come here to have this mess. What kind of leadership is this? And a facilitator just very chill to say, I invite you to look at the guidelines. And maybe it might call out 1 or 2 guidelines. And then that person will be mad. But you don't answer that person. You let that person be mad. And then slowly, someone else would say something. Someone else would say something. As it gets like crazy, chaotic, usually, too many angry people, too many frustrated people, and everybody gets like so panas mau meletup sudah. Oftentimes, it can lead to more silences because the frustration or whatever. And then you hear a different voice. A voice that might say, you know, I really didn't like you when I came in the room and you talked so much rubbish. And but all of a sudden, what you just said just now made sense. And suddenly I can see you and I can appreciate what you're bringing. It just takes one voice, and then another voice, and then another voice, another voice, and people will start to empty their prejudice, their expectations, their judgments, their whatever they're trying to fix you, get out of you, whatever. If you see more, and then as you see more and more people empty, then you start to feel the group becoming more spacious. And you see the voices start to change, and the tones start to change. And if enough in a group gets to that place, you actually can feel that, and there's more silence, more quietness, and then the group shifts. And the final stage they call is community. And community doesn't mean like community Kampung Tinohan. It's a spirit of being able to be together, respect diversity, welcome diversity, respect diversity. You can communicate authentically. You can deal with difficult issues. All the things like in this spokes of this wheel. Fight gracefully. And sometimes the stages are very clear. And sometimes the transition is very long and very not very dramatic, and sometimes it can be very dramatic. It depends on the individuals, and the individuals taking a risk, investing. That's where the word investment comes from. Are you going to invest? Ini bukan melabur money ini, invest yourself. And then the word just now there in the circle there, the diagram is intimacy. How intimate will you be, and what will you invest as individuals in the circle? And then that determines actually how you move from stage to stage. And every single voice is important. So every workshop that I attended, from the first one, from 1997 all the way to training in 2000, I saw it happen over and over again, just using these guidelines and this methodology. And every time the group gets to community, you think, wow, if only the world was like this. I think it's a little bit of both. I think the length of time is important. But I think the guidelines are really powerful. It doesn't look like it, but the more I've experienced these guidelines and I use it myself, I think it's profound. I think most people who are self-aware can facilitate. You just have to tune into that faculty, learn how to do that, because we're all taught to be content experts. You go to university, you're taught to be a content expert. Whatever you belajar, that was your content, right? You learn it's biology or it's communications, or whatever. But no one went to university to study how to be a process expert. Well, not many people. Did anybody go to college to study? No, right? So we don't look at our processes. Why? Because if you think the journey is not important, only the destination is important, I think that's probably why we are where we are. Because no one's paying attention to the process. Okay, let's look at this document called Participating in a Community Building Event. I decided to share this just because there's some important points here. It says a group of people do not become a genuine community easily or accidentally. There are certain principles which a group learns as they develop into a community. The most important reason for your participation in the workshop is to learn these principles experientially. In order to share in the community building experience fully, it is important to commit to these very basic principles. So, inclusivity. We talked about that actually earlier. A true community is inclusive, and its greatest enemy is exclusivity. Groups who exclude others because of religious, ethnic, or more subtle differences, let's say gender, let's say sexual identity, let's say race, all these things, are not communities. Participation. Please commit to staying for the entire experience. When individuals leave or withdraw because of difficulties building community, they deprive the group of their unique talents and insights. Be prepared to persevere through periods of frustration, anxiety, and even despair. Such periods are normal as part of the community building process. Participation takes many forms. Speaking is not required. Nonverbal participation can be as powerful as other forms. However, it is important to be attentive and involved. Punctuality, to be on time, as part of your commitment. Confidentiality is an essential measure of respect for participants in the group. All right, now we're going to get to the guidelines. I would say this is probably one of the most powerful features of community building. Be on time for each session. Okay, it sounds like a no-brainer, but it is very relevant. Say your name before you speak. People think it's a bit strange to say. So we'll practice this tomorrow. You'll say, my name is Cynthia, and I'm facilitating this session. Blah, 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 blah. Why do you say that? It's a little bit like this. You know, instead of pulling out your hand, you just say, my name is Cynthia. Then you start. And it's also a way to own what you're about to say. You'll feel it, the power of actually saying, my name is, and then saying what you want to say. Just try it. I know it will feel a bit weird at first, but try it, and then you see how it'll evolve for you. So you're going to say your name. No matter how many times you speak, you're going to say your name. So when you co-facilitate tomorrow, when you open, you're going to say your name. Yeah? Just try it. Just test. Speak personally and specifically using I statements. I think this one is really powerful. So you will say things like, when I got divorced, it was a liberation for me. And I felt free and unblocked from my divorce. So compare it to divorce is liberating for us. When all of us get divorced, we're freed and unblocked. That's like me preaching to you that divorce is like this, because that was my experience. You see what I mean? So you speak personally, because you can't say you, I can't say they, I can't say we, because that was my experience. Right? So this is speaking personally and using I. So you say I and my, you don't say you. You guys all need to go to church. You guys will find meaning and you see what I mean? So it doesn't just mean frame everything in the I. It also means this is also part of self-awareness, right? This is not egotistical. Trust me, there's a difference. It's way more egotistical to think that everybody is like you and everybody's divorce was liberating. You see what I mean? Rather than to show who you are, take the risk of saying, my divorce was. You see, you can note yourself saying sometimes as well, right? Kita, kami, when actually you mean saya or aku, right? Dorang, you might say dorang, but actually you mean saya. You see what I'm saying? Be inclusive, avoid exclusivity. This is a really big one. It's something we really practice in FS and in LEAP, although you may not think that. Why do we have all kinds of bizarre and strange and wonderful people in FS? Because of inclusivity. Why do we accept all ways of knowing? Because of inclusivity. Why do we not say this person is smarter than that person because this person is older, that person is younger, is not as smart? It's about inclusivity. And gender, sexual identity, color, race, blah, blah, blah. It's all about inclusivity. And you will also notice that it's only as a very, 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 very last resort that somebody leaves or we ask somebody to leave. We will try our very, very best to be inclusive until we cannot be exclusive anymore. Because let's say that person committed murder. You see what I'm saying? Or stole all the project money. Then it's hard to be inclusive lah. I mean, inclusive of someone who stole the project money. Okay. Express displeasure in the group, not outside the circle. This is really fundamental. Meaning, you're not happy with the process. You don't go and have a side group over there and say, ish, apalah ini, blah, 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 blah. It's so boring. It's so this is I can't understand, I can't follow, la, 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 whatever. You express your displeasure in the group. My name is Katrina, and this process sucks. Whatever. It may just be that 5 other people also thinks it sucks. And they'll just be like, thanks, Katrina, for saying that. You know what I mean? Or it just needs to be said, or whatever, whatever it is. So displeasure is always expressed in the group. Commit to hang in there. Okay, similarly, this sounds simple, but when you think it sucks, when you think you're so frustrated because somebody's talking out his ass and the facilitator is not intervening, just the guy continues talking out of his ass, and then you're like, what the hell? What is happening here? Why is there no leadership? Why is no one stopping this idiot? But maybe that idiot is actually getting you deeper into chaos so that you can come out of chaos. You just don't know. Everyone will play a role in that journey. So commit to hanging in there. Think about a job. Think about an issue in your organization that you're working on, and you say, I really have had enough. I am so burnt out. I am so tired. And then you think, well, if I left that circle, am I going to be happy? Does the problem go away? What? So you may take a break, but commit to hanging in there. Is so powerful. So it's not just about this session. It's about your life. It's about that issue. The issue of stateless people, the issue of food, the issue of fisheries, That's why one of the powerful things about FS is it's a 25-year program. Even 25 years is not that long. You say it's 100 years. That means we're really hanging in there because it's beyond even our lifetime. Okay, so speak when moved to speak, don't speak when not moved to speak. To me, this is one of the most powerful guidelines. So speak when you're moved to speak. What the hell does that mean? Like someone moved your body, so you moved to speak? Have you ever had that experience when you're in a session and then somebody says something or you hear something and then you're like, your heart's beating, you're like, oh my God, something is bursting out of you, you really want to say something, but it's either scary or you not sure you should say it. You think it'll upset the process if you say it. Whatever, you think you might lose your job if you say it. But something is telling you, actually, that is a voice that needs to come out. That is a variation of speak when you're moved to speak. Don't speak when you're not moved to speak. So you just think like, nobody's saying anything. Maybe I just need to say something and just go blah, 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 blah. This is so powerful for me. It was how I found my voice. Just this one guideline in 1997 was how I found my voice. Starting in workshops, starting in groups, and then organizations, and what does speaking when I move to speak look like? Because it just means express yourself, but it also means start that company, start that work, because it's moving in you. Does that make sense? So you will all learn what that means. Either your body will give you signals, you can't, like your body's just shaking. I mean, everybody, if you tune in, you will actually learn what that means. You're so excited that you just like this. But sometimes, as you learn more about what that means, it actually it teaches you, okay, you just gotta be with that discomfort. Now the timing is not right. It just tells you something about yourself. So there's so much you have to judge. Like, is this the moment? And sometimes it's an energy that just has to come out. You don't even have the words yet. You just have to say, my name is Cynthia. And then it will come out. And you're like, whoa, where did it come from? So try it. That's called investment. Investment always has risk. All right. Be responsible for your success. This is also powerful. So like the person who says, sorry, I gotta get out of here, blah, blah. You saying, I'm not putting my energy into this, I'm leaving. Maybe you think someone is responsible for your success. Someone needs to make that a good experience for you, or a powerful, constructive experience for you. But actually, you are responsible, meaning you have to speak when you move to speak. You have to hang in there. It's not someone who's going to do that for you so that you get to enjoy a good experience. You see what I'm saying? So it's a lot about responsibility and you showing up. Participate verbally or non-verbally. Carms talked about that just now beautifully. You can speak or you can be silent. The silence is very active. Sometimes people can be in silence for 10 minutes and there's still a lot of processing going on. So it's not a requirement to speak. Sometimes some people may be talking a lot because they're actually uncomfortable, not saying very much. Someone may be silent but processing a lot. Next one, be emotionally present with the group. Sometimes it's hard to be emotionally present. You're tired, you have some problems at home, and that's also when this is the self-awareness component, why that's so important. And usually in check-ins, they say, check in to be present, right? So you say, actually, I'm really tired, I've not been able to sleep, and almost just saying that in itself helps you to be present. So there are many ways you can be exclusive. You exclude yourself by like shutting down. Your body's here, but you're not here. I think that happens. I mean, that can happen in a relationship. That can happen in your office, in your job, in your project. And then the last one, respect confidentiality. That means particularly when groups go into emptiness, there is a lot of deep sharing. People will share things they've never shared before. They will cry. I mean, people will have to know that remains confidential. So you don't go suddenly post it on social media. Or, say, did you hear that? So and so is that, and in the circle she said blah, blah, blah. It's not like a topic for conversation. And then it's not a topic for gossip or whatever. Again, the guidelines sometimes may vary. Sometimes some people take some things out but leave the core guidelines. But I believe putting, confidentiality is an important piece. All right. What we can tell you about the process. So these are no longer guidelines. Those are the guidelines that I just read. Facilitators are guides only. There are usually 4 stages. I talked about that. Silence will be used now and then. It is an adventure into the unknown. It involves discovering what it means to be moved to speak. You're encouraged to experiment, discover, learn. What we cannot tell you about the process, how to do it, about the unknown, what this community may be, the mystery about how it works. Let's see, 8 o'clock. So those few things were just additional, points, but always go back to the core, which are the guidelines.